Welcome to Tell Me Who You Really Are, the podcast that cuts through the noise to uncover what it truly means to be human. Here, we don't hold back. Whether you're a familiar face or an everyday person, this is where we get real about what's truly going on in your life and, more importantly, how you can break free from the barriers holding you back. I'm Jo Emerson, one of the UK's top coaches, and in each episode, you will get to listen as I coach my guests in real time, peeling back the layers of fear, frustration, and self-doubt. These are raw, honest, and sometimes painful conversations, but they're also hugely empowering. If you are ready to see what's possible when you stop hiding and start living, then you are in the right place. Today, we're listening to my conversation with Jo. Vulnerability is the path we must walk to the truth. And in this episode, Jo's enormous courage to be vulnerable is rewarded with a huge shift in her mindset. She suffers with social anxiety, which has worsened since the pandemic to the point where she's even been afraid to take a walk around her local park. During our coaching session, Jo starts to understand that it's the fear of other people's judgments of her that is holding her back, and we undertake a powerful coaching exercise to plug her back into her authentic self. This is an amazing, life-changing episode that you cannot miss. Lives of fear, social anxiety, and inner critic work. So, Jo, welcome, and tell me what it is you would like to work on with me today.
It's social anxiety really, and shyness. I think it's something that I've always struggled with from being around a teenager. I think I've always been very shy, and it's something that sort of over the years I learned to cope with. And in my 20s I went into teaching and had some CBT therapy, and I overcame a lot of things there. And then sort of in my early 30s, I left teaching, and I was, still practicing confidence with that sort of growth mindset. I think in the past I'd felt that confidence was something that was very fixed. You either had it or you didn't, and I came to learn that it was something I could practice. But then over the pandemic, I was sort of out of work for about 6 months and didn't really see many people, made a bit of a career switch to writing, which is wonderful and I absolutely love it, but it's quite an isolated job. So I'm practicing socializing a lot less. And I think since then I've just come to feel a little bit stuck sometimes, that in my head, I can logically talk myself into doing all sorts of things, but when it comes to actually doing the thing and getting out there, even if it's just something as simple as asking myself to go and have a walk in the park, if I'm sort of in that mindset where I'm feeling stuck, I just can't seem to take that first step out of the door. Even though I know that leads to success, because that's what's worked for me in the past. Nothing's ever worked so much as actually doing it. I feel stuck sometimes, and it's very frustrating, and I think there's some shame there as well, that I feel that because I sort of have come to a place where I'd felt a lot more confident, to then suddenly regress and feel more like my sort of scared childlike self again. I feel quite ashamed of that, like I've failed in a way. And then I think that compounds the pressure to get outside. So that's where I'm at.
Okay, that's a really good analysis, a really thorough analysis of what you feel is going on. Tell me, you said that this started when you were a teenager. So am I right in thinking then that before you were a teenager, you were socially more confident?
I think so, yeah. Like I remember being quite, as a younger child before maybe middle school, I remember being quite bold, and I liked a lot of drama clubs and acting, and even consider myself in some ways to be a bit of an extrovert, whereas the me from middle school onwards was the opposite of that. Once hormones and everything had kicked in.
Okay, so there wasn't a particular thing that happened, a negative event. It was more just a hormonal shift.
Yeah, I can't remember a specific event. It was more sort of something that as I grew up, I guess I felt different to other people. I felt more anxious. I tried to fit in, and whereas the younger me had just sort of been myself, I think as I grew up, I was just trying to measure up to other people and expectations, and always seemed to come up short. So I think I sort of retreated into myself a little bit then.
Okay, so from what you've told me, it sounds like you're saying that you lost the ability to show up authentically, try to be what other people you thought other people wanted you to be, couldn't be that, and then lost your confidence.
Yeah.
Okay. I would argue that it's in the act of inauthenticity is where we start to lose our confidence. That decision to, or that belief that we've got to be other than who we are, that I'm not good enough as I am, that's where our confidence starts leaking. Not further down the line when people don't like us, our pretend selves, that compounds it. But that initial thought of I'm not enough, therefore I've got to put on a mask, I've got to pretend, that's actually where we start to lose our confidence.
Yeah.
Does that make
And
sense?
it absolutely does. And I think that what started there, I kind of just leaned into more and more, and the more I hid, and even when I was sort of my most successful, confident self, I was still sort of faking it till you make it, and I still felt inside like I wasn't good enough, and I still felt that I had to sort of put on this armor. When I was teaching, I was sort of wearing a mask there, which is part of the job. But I think that I was leaning into that inauthentic self, and I used to think that that was me at my most confident self, but maybe actually that was just it was still the mask. It was it appeared to be a more confident version of me, but I think nothing had really changed inside because I still didn't like myself all that much.
Tell me, okay, tell me what it is about you that you don't like so much.
I think it's I think I think nerves are something that I've grown up leaving as weakness. So that if I if I was to give a speech and to appear physically nervous, if I was shaking or something, or if my voice quivered, then that's weakness, and that sort of triggers this brain chatter of you're pathetic, you're weak, you're not good enough. And I think that links to that fixed mindset of I'd always sort of viewed people as being either strong or weak, or confident or and shy. I guess being shy was linked to weakness and not being good enough.
All right, so are you saying to me that the bits you don't like about yourself are your nerves? Or are you saying it's because you don't like yourself because you perceive yourself to be weak? Or is it all of it?
It's I think I don't I think I came over time to fear the sensation of feeling nervous. And I think underneath that, the core fear was that being nervous, feeling out of control, looking nervous would be perceived by other people to be someone that was weak. I've since, you know, since those teenage years, I think I've been very concerned with how I might appear to other people, and sort of automatically assuming that I'm being judged and that they're thinking the worst.
Okay, I hear this almost on a daily basis.
I'm sure, yeah.
So many of us, when we are struggling with our confidence, are stuck in what it doesn't sound very nice what I'm about to say, but I'm going to say it anyway because it's helpful. We're stuck in what I would call, or what is called, self-centered fear.
Yeah.
The fear that other people are making judgments about us. So we're kind of making everything in the world very personal. And it's an egoic state. And, you know, that word ego is bandied around, and people feel guilty and ashamed of having egos. Listen, we've all got an ego, right? Everyone's got an ego. Everyone's got a sense of self. And actually, people who are the archetypal idea of egoic, you know, the sorts kind of like driving a big car and fast car and chest puffed out, bit silverbacky, you know, look at me, very alpha, I suppose, but cocky with it. And they are as full of self-centered fear as the people who are shy and take offense at everything and keep themselves back, because both people are thinking, I need you, world, to think certain things about me, and if you don't, then it's all going to shit. And so to be shy is to be as attached to one's ego as it is to be cocky and arrogant. Not a very nice thing to think, but it is the truth, because it's about other people and how they're viewing us. When or where did you pick up the idea that other people's opinions about you are so important?
I honestly, I don't know. I do know, like, the household that I grew up in, my mum and dad are lovely, kind, generous people, but they're quite bitchy. And we didn't talk about feelings or real emotions. And like a regular experience was going to my grandma's house on a weekend, and things had happened, there'd be numerous conversations, and then the whole drive back would be mum and dad berating her and talking about what she'd said, and just full of anger and rage, and it was so rare that those feelings ever got spoken about. And I think I sort of learned that's what happened, that we don't say things to people's faces because that would be rude, no, but behind closed doors we can say terrible things about them and call them names, and I think somewhere subconsciously I've picked up the idea that that's what everybody does, which makes me feel, I think, unsafe. I think that's where that I have thought about where that comes from. That why do I care about what people think, and why do I feel so judged by people? Because I've there's not been many instances where people have been unkind to me, but I think in my head I'm just assuming that everybody behind closed doors is saying terrible things, and that people aren't being honest to my face because that's not what people do. And then behind closed doors they're revealing the true horrible feelings about me.
And let's just stay with this. Why does it matter? If they did have true and horrible feelings about you, why does that matter?
Oh, don't
Stay with it.
me makes me
Okay, just stay with it. Take your time, Joe.
think makes me feel like I'm a bad person. Like I'm worthless.
So the thought that somebody might be thinking a bad thing about you, in your head, the equation is someone thinks I'm bad, therefore I must be bad.
Yeah. Which I know logically that's not true, because I know if I think somebody's like, I mean, I don't tend to see people in those black and white terms anyway. But I wouldn't think somebody was a bad person. I don't even believe in that. But that logical thought, I guess, because I've grown up in a family where those labels have been used, good or bad, that my body has sort of absorbed that lesson, even though my mind, logically, I know that's not true, and I'm mad at myself for labeling myself as such, and even thinking such a thing could exist, that I would be a bad person for any reason. But I can't seem to escape that feeling in my body, and I think that's what blocks me from taking action.
Well, it's a survival thing. When we're children, I was saying this to somebody earlier on, that when we're children, our very survival is dependent on our caregivers. And if our caregivers are very judgy, then that's the lens through which we're seeing the world. We see this world as a judgy world, and that if we don't toe the line, if we don't mold ourselves to get their approval, then we might not survive. And so this part of you that doesn't want to go to the park, I can only assume this is because somebody might judge what you're wearing, or somebody might think, what is she doing in this park? Or
It's countless reasons. Yeah, it's anything.
it's because there's a part of you that thinks you're not going to survive if you go to the park. That bit of you, let's just talk about that bit of you. Where do you think that part of you might sit in your body?
I think often I feel it quite low down, like in my abdomen. Then at other times, like I was sort of, before we started speaking, I was thinking, oh, I do feel a bit nervous, and where do I feel it? And it was kind of in my chest. It was a tightness of the chest.
Yeah, okay. That part of you doesn't want me to identify it, because that part of you is trying to keep you safe and small and held back. And okay, so a tiny bit of very basic neuroscience here. I am not a neuroscientist by any stretch of anybody's imagination, but what I do know is this: we've got these amazing brains, amazing machines, our brains, with so many different complex parts. But in very simple terms, we've got a front brain and we've got a back brain. Our back brain, you may know this already, Joe, is our reptilian brain, and it is completely and utterly programmed for survival. So it's the part of our brain that tells us when we're hungry or tired or too cold, or needing shelter. It's the part of our brain that might, when you see your hackles go up, if maybe you're walking out late at night and you see someone and you're not sure if we're women, right? So we're not sure if I'm sorry guys, is going to be safe or not. That's the part of our brain that part of our brain is like, we need to move, we need to get safe, we need to eat because otherwise we'll starve, we need to sleep because otherwise we'll And it's also the part of our brains that are hardwired to protect our children. So that's, if you see your young child about to put their fingers in a plug socket, that's the part of your brain that just literally leaps up and swipes the child's hand away. And it's a core survival mechanism, and we need it. So you can't get rid of that part of your brain. We also, however, have a rational front brain, the neofrontal cortex, and this is our executive functioning brain. And this is the part of us that is far more rational, where we access wisdom. Some people would say it's the part of our brains that is connected to the whole. So on a more spiritual basis, it can be the bit of you that might plug into the universe or might pray to God, or however you organise your thoughts around that. And it's the part of your brain that we access when we're doing our complicated work, or when we might be helping a child who is really vulnerable themselves. So, for example, I want you to imagine that you've just left your house and there's a little 4-year-old running around going, Mummy, I can't find my mummy. That part of your brain would immediately kick in, and you would probably crouch down to the height of that child and say, can I help you find your mummy? Are you okay? It's all right. We're going to find mum. It's going to be all right. I will help you. And you would rationally calm that child down, see if you could find out their name, grab their hand, have a look around the block for mum, call the police if you needed to, kind of thing. So we've all got both of those parts in our brain. The most important thing to know about this is that your hindbrain, your back brain, always fires a millisecond before your front brain. So our first thought is always one of survival. It's always a fear-based thought, always, every time. But we don't have to believe our first thought. That primal survival instinct, can't go to the park because I might be judged. And if I'm judged, that means I'm a bad person. And if I'm a bad person, that actually means I might as well kill myself because there's no point being alive. Yeah?
Yeah.
You're looking at me like, oh my God, she's just like read my brain. I know it because I've lived it, right? I've lived this. That's the part of our brain that kicks in. But we have a second thought, and if we can only just wait and acknowledge the first thought and say to ourselves, okay, yeah, that's thank you for your opinion, and just actively almost put your hand on the front of your brain if you need to, and say, rational self, wise self, God, universe, whatever you want to call it. Atman, I think that's what they call it in the Far East or in India. What do you think? What do you think about going to the park? And that part of our brain will say, there is nothing to fear. There is nothing to fear. And that part of our brain is the bit we use and we have to develop to almost parent the hindbrain. And it's a job of work. It's a daily job of work. You know yourself, because you said at the beginning that when we take action, the confidence comes. So when you go to the park, you feel better. But that back part of your brain is shouting loudly because she needs to say something. She needs to get a message across to you. Would you be willing to close your eyes and let me talk to that part of your brain? Yeah, let's do it. Okay, so this is just an exercise. I've done this for years. People listening to this who've been clients of mine will be like, oh, she's going to do that exercise now.
Oh,
so what
excited.
I need you to do, good for you. Right, so what I want you to do is put your hands on your lap, your bum right back in the back of the chair. Yeah. Close your eyes and just take a couple of really deep breaths for me, Joe. Just in through your nose, out through your mouth. Drop your shoulders if you can. Try and just like relax your jaw. This is not hypnosis at all, but it's good if you're slightly more relaxed. And keep your eyes closed until I tell you to open them, unless you feel really scared or uncomfortable, in which case, obviously, open your eyes or we can stop the exercise. And I just want to say to you that you are safe. You are completely safe here. Nothing can hurt you right now. So that part of your brain, that hind brain, that back brain of yours, if it were to have a colour, what colour might yours be?
black.
Black, okay. And if you can, obviously, you know, time and space and material things are all they're all part of like the eye processing. So just imagine that this can be any size at all, this part of your brain. If we were just to fling it out as an energetic form into the universe, it's black. I'm just imagining what size it is. It might be really small. It might be enormous. You can have any size you like. What kind of size is it?
It's like a sort of a splat of paint, that size, sort of as big as the palm of my hand.
Great. Okay, brilliant. And so it's black. It's like a splat of paint. Is that how you see it, or does it take any other form? Is it an animal? Is it a weather system? Is it a person? Is it a building? Or is it just that splat of paint? It can be whatever it is for you.
Sometimes it's a person, and sometimes it's a cloud, like a storm cloud.
When it's a person, does it remind you of anyone?
Sometimes it kind of sounds like my mum, my grandma.
So there's quite judgmental matriarchs from your past
Yeah,
who were doing their best. That's how they'd been
yeah,
raised.
yeah.
Yeah. But completely unaware of the negative effects that the way they were living their lives would have had. Okay, if we were to, in fact, sorry, what energy does this black splat of paint, person, storm cloud, mum, grandma kind of melange give off?
It's quite a sort of powerful, like, it sounds weird to say it, but it's kind of an arrogant energy.
Okay, yeah. That arrogance, is it because it feels separate from everybody else?
Yeah.
And if I were to call this thing something, what shall we call it? Name does it like to be called?
Sometimes I think it's a bit like really silly. Sometimes I think of it as being like Ares, the god of war.
Fine, we can call it Aries.
Yeah, because it's kind of so arrogant and thinks it's above everything and super critical.
Right, okay. And keeping your eyes closed, Joe, this is the part of you that you're probably most ashamed of. The part of you that you least like. And this is the part of you that we need to meet. So I'm going to talk to Aries, if that's all right. And you can just give me... By the way, is Aries male, female, genderless?
I think it's male, which is like,
Right.
yeah.
That's fine. It's male with grandma and mum's voice.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, it's not
yeah.
their tone, it's kind of their, I guess it's their words and their tone in his voice. Yeah.
Right, got it. Okay. So, Aries, I'm just going to talk to you for a minute. Tell me what it's been like living in Joe's body all of these years.
Really frustrating.
Is it? Okay. Can you tell me what it is you're frustrated about?
That so many ambitions and hopes and so many things we could and should be doing, and then we just don't. And I feel like I deserve better. I don't ask for what I need. So passive and weak. And so there's all these hopes and ambitions and things that we could be doing. None of them get done.
That does sound frustrating, Aries. But it's interesting to me because, as far as I can work out, Aries, you're the one with the ambition, but you're also the one that's holding Joe back from achieving all of these things. Can you tell me why you hold her back?
trying to keep us safe.
Yeah. Safe from what?
Safe from people. Safe from getting hurt. Safe from feeling.
Is that safe from any feeling? Any negative feeling?
Yeah.
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 So Aries, what is it you believe about negative feelings? Tell me about those.
That negative feelings equal pain. Pain is bad. So that needs to be avoided at all costs.
So Aries, if I were to say to you that there's another way to view pain, which is that it's the only way in which we grow, and it's the only way in which we achieve these ambitions and these hopes and these dreams you've talked about, what would your response be to that?
Do see that. Do see it. Just want to feel safe.
Okay.
While I'm also want to feel capable of facing those comfortable feelings.
Mm-hmm.
Feel safe and protected while I'm still those things.
So Aries, there's another part of you, there's a different part to your brain that can keep you safe while you are experiencing difficult feelings. But I don't think you've ever actually communicated with that part of your brain. I'm not sure that you even are aware that there is something wise and kind within you that you can access. And it sounds to me, Aries, like you are a little bit like a child who's been put in charge of the government. Like you're probably bitten off a little bit more than you can chew, but you're too scared to hand over the reins because it might all go to shit.
That's absolutely it.
Okay. If I were to introduce you, Aries, to a different part of you that would be willing to keep you safe, but also encourage you to stretch a bit, how would you feel about that?
Yeah.
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Does it? Okay. So just stay there for a minute, Aries, because we're just going to move into a different. Well, actually, come with me, Aries. Come with me out of that back brain, and let's just go on a little journey to a different part of Joe's brain. So, Joe, if you just keep your eyes closed, Aries is going to stay with us, and I want you to tell me if you when I told you about that imaginary child outside your house who'd lost their mum, which part of your brain or your body, where would you feel that part of you that would crouch down, take charge of the situation and look after that child?
I feel it in my chest, my upper chest.
Your upper chest, yeah, I can see
Yeah,
you touching
right. To my collarbone, yeah.
Right, okay, so that's a strong, loving, wise, kind part of you. Okay. And what colour might that be?
Like golden sunshine.
Golden sunshine, we like this. I hope you're listening to this, Aries. And what size? We talked about Aries being sort of the size of a splat of paint, maybe like the size of your hand. This golden sunshine, talk to me about the size.
Big. It's like the sun. It's sort of like it's kind of like an orb of sunlight in my chest, but then the sort of the blur of sunlight sort of spreads everywhere.
So it's almost infinite, just everywhere. And right, I love this. Okay, So it's, I think we're pretty set on this being kind of like the sun, like sun, the sun and sunshine. So it's that's interesting. Actually, that's an interesting analogy for the world, because we're all kind of part of the whole, and we're all separate bits of the whole. And here you are with your sun, and also your rays of the sun. What voice, when it speaks to you, who does it remind you of? What tone does it use?
It sounds like me, but it's like me at my calmest and most reassuring, and
Yeah, it's you at your best,
it's
isn't it?
lovely. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And the energy of that, because we talked about Aries having this kind of powerful but slightly arrogant, comparative, judgy energy. Talk to me
Yeah.
about the energy of sunshine.
It's powerful, but it's not at all arrogant. It's very accepting and forgiving and just loving, and it's got a very
Does it have high
powerful but
self-esteem?
calm vibe. Yes, yeah,
Uh-huh.
absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. Probably wants the best for everyone and you.
Yeah,
Ah, now that's genuine confidence. That right there, that's confidence. And it lives inside you, Joe. Aries, are you listening to this? This is the part of you that you've been missing all of these years. Golden sunshine. What would you like to say to Aries? Aries is here right now thinking, I had no idea you were there. I had no idea. Like, I need some help. Golden sunshine, what do you say to Aries?
I'm sorry that I haven't listened to things that you were worried about, and the things that you voiced, pushed down concerns sometimes and not listened. And I want you to know that you're safe and that you're loved, that you are worthy, that you're capable. Know that you're not alone.
Golden sunshine, would you be willing to take over the government if Aries is willing to take a more junior cabinet minister position?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So Aries, it's to you now. What do you think of this part of you that you had no idea existed?
A little bit put out
Yeah.
because I've been in charge for a long time. So really tired, really frustrated, and I'm ready to let someone else take the reins. If I'm going to be listened to, we're going to work on things together, then I am willing to let go a little bit the need to overprotect. I'm willing to try a different approach because the way things have been working hasn't worked. So I'm willing.
So, Aries, it takes 3 weeks, 21 days for a new habit to really form, to really bed in. So I'm wondering whether you'd be willing to hand over the reins for the next 21 days. Don't worry, I'm going to work now with all of you to put a plan in place. I wonder whether you'd be willing to hand over for 21 days. So today is the 23rd of February, so we need to work out what 21 days is from there, which I can't do right now because I'm coaching, but we can work it out Thursday in 3 weeks' time.
Yeah.
Whether you'd be willing to do that, yeah, for 3 weeks. So we're going to put Sunshine in charge for 3 weeks. Sunshine has promised you that is Sunshine a she? I know Aries is a he. I'm
Yeah.
assuming Sunshine's a she. I shouldn't have assumed anything. Sunshine, maybe Sunshine's non-binary, but Sunshine's a she, and Sunshine is going to consider everything you say in day-to-day life. But Sunshine is going to be in charge for the next 3 weeks, and then you can assess in 3 weeks' time and see how it's working. How would that be?
Yeah, I'm willing to do that.
Great. Okay. All right. So, Jo, when you're ready, take your time. You might need to put Aries back somewhere or sit Aries next to Sunshine, or I don't know what you need to do.
Yeah.
But just in your head, just take a couple of seconds and open your eyes when you're ready. Welcome back.
Ooh.
Tell me how that was.
Strange. and nice. Yeah, really nice. I think it's nice to feel that there's the potential for not feel the way I've been feeling, and that sunshine is a really strong, powerful feeling, and it is really calm and confident, and I'm really excited to see what the next 21 days are going to be like.
So am I. I'm really excited for you.
If someone else is running the show. I think I liked where that went with the sort of apology, because I think that for a long time I thought there's been a lot of self-sabotage, and I've kind of been against myself, and it's always felt like my whole mind was out to get me. And I think not only now do I feel that there's actually more parts to my mind than the critical voice, that there's also another part that's very wise and calm and absolutely not out to get me, there to support me every step of the way. But my perception of that critical voice, rather than thinking that it's some bitter, twisted thing that hates me, I actually see it more as a frightened child that's in charge, that is acting out and does not know what to do, and is just doing anything and everything it knows how to try and keep me safe. It's just very misguided.
Exactly that. I could not. I wish I was going to say I wish I'd recorded that. We have, because that may have to go in as a quote into my next book. That's exactly it, and you've just experienced it. And what was so beautiful for me to watch was your whole face changed when we introduced Sunshine, when you plugged into that different part of your brain. Your whole demeanor changed, your whole face changed, and it was like. And I was like, there it is. There's the confident Jo. It's just that we get so used to believing the narrative of our survivor, of, in your case, Aries. We get to the point where it's a bit like, on a cloudy day, you forget that the sun's there. The sun's still there. It's just the clouds blocking it. And Aries has literally just been like this blanket coverage over your life, to the point where the sunshine, we haven't been able to see or feel that it's there, but it's there. It's been in you all of this time. Now it's a coaching, true coaching should not ever involve any instructions. So I'm probably not a true coach, because I'm going to give you some strong suggestions.
I need
strong suggestions.
Jo, give me them.
So these are going to be strong suggestions, Jo.
Okay.
I believe that part of my brain, I can only relate my experience, right? That part of my brain, that wise part of my brain, I believe is where my spirit lies. It's the spiritual part of me.
Yeah.
And that, so I try and plug in to that part of me every single day. And this is how I do it. I get up, I do a little bit of yoga. Talking like 10 minutes of stretching here. You don't have to do that, but something about moving the body does kind of just click things in. I then do some journaling. And when I do my journaling, I'm allowing the frightened part of me to say what it needs to say. Yeah, this is all in my book, which you may or may not have, but you can do it now. You don't, you buy the book or don't buy the book, but I'm telling you now what to do, right? You allow Aries to download, right?
Yeah.
So you get it all out, and that's probably 2 or 3 pages or 1 or 2 small pages of just getting the gunk out.
Yeah.
Then I pick up a different pen, different colour, and I allow my wise self to speak. And then I will do a 10, 15, 20-minute meditation.
Okay.
That's how I start my day. Because what I'm doing in my day is I'm allowing this scared part of me to have its say, so it's not ignored.
Yeah.
And then I kind of actively engage my wiser self. I connect to a higher power, the universe, the thing that makes the sun come up in the morning, whatever it is that, God, if you want to call it God. I connect to that part of my brain, or that part of the world. And all I can tell you, Joe, is it works, because I then hit my day from a place of confidence, security, safety, but I can also go about stretching. And that's where the magic happens, because when I feel safe, because I've connected to my higher self, I've then got the courage to go and do all these things that the scared part of my brain would say are too much.
Yeah.
So for the rest of your life, you're going to need to do this, but certainly for the next 3 weeks during your experiment.
Yeah. I'm
Okay.
I'm gonna make notes.
You absolutely make notes. The other thing I think would be really helpful for you is for us to just think about a few little stretch goals, small ones, that you and Sunshine are going to take Aries on, some little outings, some little stretchy things that you're going to go and do to back up all this spiritual stuff with some physical action. You talked about going to the park. Is that big enough or too big for you to consider?
No, do you know, like the last couple of weeks, I've made a real effort to get up and go to the gym in the morning, and that was kind of a confidence hurdle. And my days have been going much better since then, and that's a great start to the day. So I actually think that maybe an afternoon walk in the park would be a really good thing to take on.
When you go to the gym, do you say hello to anyone?
Sometimes, yeah, I've
Okay,
started,
good.
because that's kind of why I wanted to go to the gym. I've got an exercise bike at home, but I thought no, because if I go to the gym, that's a social situation first thing in the day, and then I'm not only, exercising, I'm also practicing confidence, aren't I, in a social
Absolutely.
situation?
Absolutely. So I want you, in every time you go to the gym, to say good morning to someone.
Okay, yeah,
Yeah?
I can
Because it will
do
get
that.
you, because listen, that scared part of us loves isolation.
Yeah,
Low self-esteem and low confidence thrive in isolation,
yeah,
as you've worked out yourself. So we have to get you out of isolation. And let's not forget that the people in the gym who look scary, look like they've got it all together, they're going to be just as scared because they're there on their own as you are. So if you
yeah,
say good morning, they'll be like, oh, she's nice. Oh, yeah, morning. How are you doing? Yeah, I'm all right. It's early, isn't it? Yeah, bloody rain. Well, it's still dark. All of those
yeah,
chit chat. But that is so good for your confidence. So
yeah,
absolutely, gym, but speak to someone every day.
yeah,
Same in the park. Good
yeah,
morning. Someone's walking their dog. Morning. Afternoon. Oh, sorry, afternoons now. We're in the
yeah,
afternoons.
yeah, yeah,
They're good. Maybe go and buy yourself a coffee and have a chat to the barista.
yeah. I can do that, definitely.
Okay. Give me one more stretchy thing that you're too scared to do at the moment that we might start working towards.
Oh, I've been meaning to go swimming for the last 6 months. I just haven't. Every time I've nearly done it, for whatever reason, I've just stopped myself.
Is this a body image thing?
Some of it's body image. Like I got vitiligo in my 30s, so my skin's sort of changed, and I think I'm
Okay.
self-conscious of that. But I have been swimming, with my full-blown vitiligo, and I've been okay with
Good
it.
for
But I
you.
think because I've not done it in a while again, it's become big. And it's also when I swim, I can swim at the same place that's at my gym. And when I go to the gym, I can just go in, put my card in, and go straight in. But when you swim, there's this awkward queuing time. And I think it's probably a bit of the social anxiety of the queue and it being at a certain time. So I think that's also compounded it, which is why I've put it off. Love
So what?
swimming.
Okay, so
So
what's Aries telling you about that cue?
can't be bothered. Don't wanna wait. Don't want to stand there. Don't want to have to go swimming at a certain time. Might bump into somebody. Might have to have an awkward conversation. Just all negatives.
Proper like stroppy teenager going on there.
Yeah, yeah, oh
Brilliant. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
It's
yeah.
like Kevin the teenager from Harry Enfield
Oh, yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, yeah. What is it about the awkward conversations that Aries doesn't like?
Guess the potential to feel judged.
Right.
Aries thinks he's above other people or separate from other people.
Okay.
So why would I bother mixing?
Uh-huh. And that's because deep down Aries does not like himself at all. Right.
Yeah.
What have I got? Let's ask Sunshine to just step in and talk about that cue.
Actually, I think Shine rather enjoys queuing because it's a chance for a little mindful moment where I can
Mm-hmm.
just listen to sounds and be quiet and feel my feet on the ground and I might also have an interaction with one in the queue, which when I do interact, especially with strangers, often like I feel warm from that.
Mm.
They're things that I, especially because I'm afraid of stuff like that. Whenever I do anything like that, I feel really courageous and like it's a
Mm.
quick win. So it's a really special moment that I cherish.
And you might end up meeting a best friend, a future partner. Who knows who you're going to meet in the queue?
Yeah,
That person might tell you that, oh, I go pole dancing. Have you ever tried pole dancing? No, I haven't. And you may end up being the UK champion pole dancer, of 2026. Yeah, but like literally, who knows?
yeah,
That's the point. Aries wants everything to be certain and safe.
yeah,
And Sunshine knows that life is not certain.
yeah,
It's just not certain. We don't live in a certain world. Well,
yeah,
listen, the sun certainly comes up in the morning and the moon definitely comes up at night. But, apart from that, not a lot that's certain. It's always changing.
yeah,
And opportunities are everywhere. But you don't, and that's the other thing is that Sunshine knows is you don't have to say yes to everything.
yeah,
Whereas Aries will be thinking, I don't want to talk to anyone because they might ask me out and I don't want to go and I don't want to say no and
yeah, yeah,
yeah. So can we put going for a swim?
yeah,
Could we do that once a week?
yeah. I was going to suggest that. I
Right.
think once I've done it once, be okay. I think
Okay.
it's often just the starting point for me, but I think that would be a goal I could really look forward to and I really love swimming. It's like a spiritual act for me
Mm,
almost
mm.
and I've missed it. That would feel like reclaiming part of myself as
Love
well,
that.
I think.
I love that. So you've done absolutely brilliantly. This time together has just flown.
Wow, it
Before
has,
I
yeah.
before I let you go, Joe, can you just have a quick think and tell me what's the main thing or the main things you're going to take away from our time together? What have you learned?
I think the best thing I've learned, and not just learned in my head, but felt in my body, that I'm not alone
Mm,
and that my mind isn't actually working against me. It's just been a bit scared and misguided, and that I can now access another part of me can choose to listen to another way, a different voice. And I think I can let that kind of voice take over the reins a little bit. I'm just excited to see. I'm excited to feel this feeling again tomorrow. I'm definitely committed to speaking to that voice and just seeing where we can go over the next 21 days.
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I just want to thank you for your openness and your honesty and your absolute willingness to just go for it today, because it's been such a pleasure to see the physical change in you, and to, you know, to have access to your beautiful mind. And
I feel like I'm grinning.
Yeah, I'm literally so excited for the next 3 weeks for you. Will you send me an email and let me know how you've got on? Okay, lovely to see you, Jo.
So lovely to see you.
If you are struggling with a harsh inner critic, please know that you are not alone. My book, Flying for Beginners, available on Amazon, takes you step by step through the powerful process Jo just went through in this episode. I can also highly recommend Daring Greatly by Brené Brown and Feel the Fear and Do It Anyway by Susan Jeffers. Whatever you do, know this: your inner critic is lying to you for 99% of the time. So unless you are in physical danger, you do not have to believe what it is saying to you.